The Cleveland Browns are sending Myles Garrett to Los Angeles in exchange for Jared Verse, a 2027 first-round draft pick, a 2028 second-round draft pick, and a 2029 third-round draft pick. Matthew, what do you think about this trade?
I mean, it's been a long time coming for Myles Garrett to get out of
Yeah.
Cleveland. I think this is probably one of the craziest trades to ever just drop in the middle of an offseason. We kind of thought all the big deals were behind us. This is just a blockbuster in every sense of the word. The Rams are not playing around. Seahawks go out and win a Super Bowl. They say, hey, don't forget about us. Myles Garrett is going to boost this already amazing team that it was no surprise that it was the Rams. They've done this so many times before, trading away future capital for a star. Matthew Stafford, I don't think he's ever going to want to stop playing football now. And I think this sets them up perfectly to be a top contender in the NFC.
Yeah, gosh, if you're Matt Stafford, don't go to retirement at this point. You have no idea what they're willing to do. I mean, clearly this is a great move for the Rams. It makes them they were already a serious Super Bowl contender, but this is starting to put them maybe at the very front of the pack next year, especially because the Seahawks they lost some pieces in the offseason too. So this really puts them in good position. I like them in that division easily now and to come out of the NFC. So great deal from them. I don't think they gave up too much. This is the way that they do things. As you mentioned, they get these players towards the end of their careers. They squeeze what is left in them, and they do produce wins, and they do have a Super Bowl using this method. So I think that they put themselves in a really good spot to get another. I think this is a good trade for all sides, really. I think it's a good trade for the Browns. I know that we talked about this earlier. You said that you were expecting 2 first-round picks, but I like where they're headed here.
Yeah. I mean, I just mentioned that because for years we've talked about trading Myles Garrett and the price. I mean, I've seen people be like, oh, he deserves 3 first-round picks. And I guess when they said future, they said what, future draft consideration. I just assumed it was multiple first. But yeah, I mean, I don't hate it either. I mean, next year we talked about this draft multiple times on the channel. It's looking pretty good if you're a quarterback needy team, and I mean I think the Browns will be. Apparently Watson's looking good in training camp, but you don't really trust him all that much. So now I mean the Browns are entering next year's draft with 2 first-round picks. I mean you look at this Rams first-round pick. It's gonna be towards the end of the first, but it's still a first-round pick. So that's capital to work with and make a move if needed. And I mean their last 2 draft classes. We obviously need to see how this one's going to shape out, but on paper, this one looks really good, and last year's produced at a high level. So I think the Browns are actually really building something, and Jared Verse is still an amazing player. I think he's going to be a great, replacement wherever they decide to play him, edge, line, but I think he's going to be really good for them, and he's going to have a chip on his shoulder too,
Yeah, Verse is a good player, and also too, I think he kind of fits. If the Browns the Browns are rebuilding, but I think he fits that timeline, and he's a really talented player. So it's just unfortunate, right? Because you're just being compared to Myles Garrett in a sense. So a bit overshadowed, and the picks are the biggest portion of this team building for the Browns. They could use this capital that they've now acquired to move up in next year's draft and get a quarterback, because it's really a mess in that quarterback room right now. They're going to get a full 17-game season here to figure it out. But if they don't, then they're in pretty good position, I think, to fly up the boards, because they're sitting on that Rams pick in the first round of 2027. So they'll have to move further up, and they'll have probably a lot of a long ways to go if they're really trying to get one of the top guys. I'm not saying that they could go from 32 to 10, but they could go from 32 to 20 or something like that, especially some of those teams might really want to be moving down. And they could use that in the extra seconds that they do have next year, as well as the extra thirds that they have in the following year to potentially move up. So I like this deal. It gives them a lot of flexibility, especially in the draft and team building wise. And, as I just mentioned, versus his deal and his productivity are a good fit for where the Browns are headed over the next few years. Let me just say this now. I got the Rams winning the Super Bowl. I think you have to at this point.
I mean, they're pretty loaded. You know what I'm going to say, so I won't even say it.
Broncos?
Yeah. You got to speak into existence, but no, I mean, the Rams are just a stacked team. And I wanted to say, you brought up the Seahawks. I think it's really interesting when you look at, the Rams, who are their division rival. They're doing all this work to like take them over and beat them. And the Seahawks, it just feels like they're just so complacent to win one and kind of be done. They have had one of the worst off seasons in my opinion. Winning I feel like you just need to do more, and they haven't done anything to say like we're going to stay at the top of the NFC. In my opinion, it's just bizarre.
You know, I would agree. I do think that getting Jadarian Price at the end of the first was a decent move,
Yeah,
considering that they kind of let Kenneth Walker go. But that's replacing the Super Bowl MVP. They re-signed a couple guys that I thought that was smart. But yeah, it's like it does appear like the Rams want to go in this year harder than the Seahawks do. And granted, the Seahawks already have their Super Bowl. I get it, but it is kind of unfortunate to see. And it really does suck because when you look at the business side of things, that might be where your answer lies, where the ownership is now trying to get some bidding war started, and they're trying to sell the team and everything like that. And that just they're trying to get an active evaluation of the team. And it's like, okay, after the Super Bowl, now you're trying to sell the team at its highest point. I respect the business move, but damn, like can we build this team to go back to back? Because they were really talented and they took care of the Patriots. They look good. So
yeah,
just feels like that division feels like it's up for grabs. And to have the defending Super Bowl champion in it is, kind of maddening to think about. But also the Rams, so good. And now you
yeah.
add Myles Garrett.